the biggest guy that's ever been on this stage.
All right, everybody. Hi, I'm Carrie Tellefson. Thank you all for coming. This is the CTolle Run Live podcast. I'm super excited, you guys. It's been 26 years since you three were here in Atlanta for the 1996 Olympic Games, and we're going to hear all about that and all about what their weekends are like. But real quick, I'm going to tell you who we have up here, even though most of you know. We have Paula Radcliffe right here.
Hello.
Yeah. Paula held the world record in the marathon for 16 years, 2:15:25. Super fast. She's a four-time Olympian. She's a mother and a wife. She has two little ones back home. Well, they're not so little anymore, but she has two kids. She's here helping advise and coach Jordan Hasay, who's trying to make her first Olympic team. She's the number 2 fastest American marathoner of all time. So, yeah, put it together for Paula Radcliffe.
Thank you.
All right, John Godina in the middle. He's known as probably one of the best shot putters ever and most decorated here in the States. He's a world champion. He's a 2-time Olympic medalist. He's a husband, and he is here to run the Publix half marathon on Sunday, the very first time, covering 13.1. We've seen that before, putting his hands in the air. We've seen that in the ring, so we're super excited. And last but not least, we have Gail Devers, who's from Atlanta. Gail is a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, a world champion in both the 100-meter hurdles and the 100 meters. She's a mother of 2 and a wife, and for the first time, she's covering 13.1 miles as well. So I'm just going to have you guys go down the line. We'll start here with you, Paula. 26 years ago, you ran your first Olympics here in the States. Can you tell everyone what event you did then, and maybe a memory, whether it was a big party you went to, or if it was just, fun seeing the torch, whatever it was, being your first Olympic Games?
I have a few. So it was my first Olympic Games. It was the year I graduated university. So I had been sitting my finals right before I came out here. I was training in Tallahassee, Florida beforehand, in amongst the snakes on the bike paths, which was a bit scary. I raced the 5,000 meters, and when we were striding out in the heats down the back straight, Carl Lewis was taking his jumps right alongside. So that was a big memory. And I think it was after my final was the night of the bombing in Centennial Square. So that was obviously a big memory as well. I was kind of coming back into the village and everybody was checking that everyone was safe. But yeah, great atmosphere, and the big thing that hit me, I think, is the Olympic Village, the fact that there are so many other sports in there. So the fact that the tennis players, the NBA players were walking around the village was something that we'd not seen before.
You were 5th in the 5,000 meters in our very first Olympic Games. I mean, how did that set you up for the future that you had in distance running and at the Olympics?
I think I was a bit disappointed because I'd been 5th in the World Champs the year before, and it kind of set up a series of 5ths and 4ths for me and just missing out. But definitely I felt that there was more to come, so I could go away, work harder. The next Olympics, I moved up to 10,000 meters already. I moved up one place, and I was 4th there.
All right, John, let's talk about it.
I think the best memory for me here in Atlanta, that was my first Olympics too. I'd won the World Championships the year before, and the one thing that stood out to me was, and it never happened again at a World Championships or an Olympics, was how the whole stadium of 100,000 people, after we as American shot putters got first and second, were chanting USA. That wasn't happening anywhere else. And it was probably the most fun moment after a competition I've ever had. We took our victory lap, and it just kept going because we're shot putters. It was a long victory lap. And they just kept it up the whole time. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then I thought it was awesome because that particular, I don't know if you went, but if you were an American and you got a medal, you went to Planet Hollywood downtown here, which is now gone, and they give you anything you want. We had all the food and drinks and leather jackets, and it was great. It was fun times.
Gail, talk about your experience.
My experience was great because it was on American soil. It was my 3rd Olympic Games at that time, and just to say, I know they were like, it's going to be traffic, it's going to be a nightmare, and it wasn't. it wasn't. So I was, pleasantly surprised. And just the fans, just like John was talking about how everybody was cheering, to be on, there's nothing like home turf advantage. And so to be in America, in Atlanta, on this soil, and coming out, and for me, for the 100 meters, there was a night after the bombing also. And so I remember watching the television, and it got to a point where you just have to turn it off and say, you can't let someone's bad decision take away the hard work that you've worked for these last 4 years, because nothing is promised after that. And then it was just about getting out there and remembering what I had been practicing for and making it count. And it was an awesome feeling. And for me, that was me winning the 100 meters, which is why this is way out of my comfort zone. I just want you people to know that, okay?
Yeah, out of yours. Okay.
Yeah, my victory lap wasn't as bad. I was kind of used to that. But I will say that before this, I used to say 105 meters was distance for me. So you know where I'm going, right? Okay.
But you are going to start with you, because you do have this 13.1 mile race coming up on
saying
Sunday.
That distance. Stop
I
it.
know. You're not going to have, your blocks. You're not having your spikes. There's no hurdles out there.
Right.
So let's talk about the process a little bit. It is your first half, although she did run cross country in high school.
I did run cross country, but you know how long ago that was? I'm 53 years old and decided to start a new career here.
You mentioned it. I did.
Oh, I tell my age proudly because, but that is the
53.
thing.
If you guys didn't hear it, 53 years old.
But that's the thing for me, even in these runs that I've been doing, it's kind of like I start off too fast. And so on Sunday, I've got to rein it in. And, John just said start with my starting blocks. That won't help me because then I'll be going way too fast. I've just got to make sure that it's a pace thing. I've always admired and been envious of distance runners because I'm like, oh my gosh. But I'm like, why do they always look at their watch? And now this is my best friend. So it's something that's different. And I'm just, we're trained. I started training in November. I had when I retired, 2007, I was like, feet kicked up, we're good. And so this is a new journey for me, but I've been welcomed by this community. And I keep telling people I've been dipped in the distance runner water, and I'm converted now, so I'm good.
I love it. Hey, real quick before we get to John, who's racing on Sunday out here?
Yeah, who's going to anybody
All
doing the half
right.
with me? Okay, halves. Okay, we'll all
Nice.
say a prayer together.
Nice. Most of the crowd out here is racing. So, John, you're not going to be in the ring. You're not bringing elements with you, but you are using the Atlanta Track Club. They gave you a plan. Amy Yoder Bagley, some of you know her, 2008 Olympian in the 10,000 meters. She's your coach, both you and Gail. Let's talk about this transition to LSD, long, slow distance.
I'll tell you, I trained 20 meters and less, which is way less than she ever trained. So this is ridiculous for me. And by the way, I don't know if it counts for a handicap, but I also had to starve myself to lose enough weight to do this. So I've been training under duress the whole time.
I mean,
wants
where's
that
our
to be
world's
noted.
smallest violins right now?
Yeah, Amy's been amazing. The Atlanta Track Club's been completely supportive. We just figured out how to use the pace feature.
Better late than never. Look, I was like, oh, wait.
2 days ago. She called me. She's like, do you know just tell you how to do your pace? Oh, okay. So we got
Do you
that
wear a watch at all when you trained before?
I would wear a watch to compete with just to tell me when my warm-ups were over.
Exactly.
And then that was it. I didn't even know I know that these kept time and stuff, but barely knew how to look at them. So, no, it's been an amazing experience. I know it's going to be an amazing experience on Sunday, but I also know that I have no idea what these hills are going to do to me because I carry a lot of weight up and a lot of weight down, and we've been training on some hills, but me and Gail are both afraid of those, and we're just going to hold each other's hand in the last 2 miles.
Well, I do think a lot of people are interested in that because, you were a big guy. You are out there. That's what you needed to be when you're throwing like that. You have to have a lot of weight to push that element forward, and you have lost quite a bit of weight.
Yeah, I've lost about 25 so far. I wanted to lose about 35, but didn't get there because life's life, and I like steaks, and it never hurts to get pizza, I guess. So I've got carb loading. Yeah. So I got down to 229 now, and I think that's good enough to do a decent race, but We'll see.
All right, Paula. So kind of exciting. You're not racing. I mean, you've run 65 minutes for the half marathon or faster. 65.
Oh,
yeah.
65, yeah.
Yeah, 65.
40.
So you are, though, advising and helping Jordan. So you have a different role this weekend. I know you're used to lacing it up, but this time you get to be on the sidelines. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's kind of my first foray, if you like, into kind of I've done some mentoring and I've done some helping the British team around events and things like that. So it's not the first time. And I grew up in a club atmosphere where we're helping each other. And I guess it's the difference now is that I kind of went from helping my daughter, who's 12, 13, where she really needs to be told how to pace herself, how to do everything. And then with Jordan, it was much more, she kind of already knows what to do. She just needs a little bit of confidence, a little bit of advice that it's okay to do this, or maybe change this around a little bit. And make sure that she's still really happy with it. And then I guess the tricky thing this time, and I've been really, really impressed with how well she's handled it, was coming back off of the injury in Chicago and how the whole training had to kind of be adapted and to go with that. And she's got her head around that so well, and the long runs have gone so well that she can actually come in thinking, you know what, I'm in really good shape even though I had to manage this.
I mean, she's run 2:20 for the marathon. This course is hilly. You and I ran some of it this morning. You know, what kind of advice do you give her going in? I mean, she's got Paula Radcliffe right in her ear, you guys. I mean, how cool is that?
I think it's more just giving her the confidence to run her race. And she's very good at doing that anyway. She'll tune in, and it's not about trying to hit certain mile splits. I think when you're racing your first ones, and then you need to look at mile splits. I'd rather for Jordan that she just races it. She's very good at finding that intuitive point where you know, on this course, I can sustain this pace to the end. She's very, very good at doing that. So it's just kind of like trust yourself and just go with it. And most of all this time, just enjoy it and be proud of the fact that you've got to that start line in shape. So go and enjoy it now.
I think that's for everybody, right? Now, we're all here to race. I'm not racing. I'm doing the commentary on the infield. So hopefully I'll get to announce your names. But I am not racing. But you guys, getting ready for this race, I want to hear a little bit about your longest runs, also your longest runs, and maybe if you had any memories. So let's go down the line. We can start with you, Paula, because you've probably had the longest one up here. And tell us any, memories that come from the long run, because so much happens on that long run, whether it's, within you or in the conversations or, just the environment around you.
How much time have you got? No, my longest run actually wasn't probably that far for a marathon runner. The longest I would go would be about 24, maybe 25, including a warm down, because I would jog a mile before, and then I would run my long runs. My husband would come with me on the bike for most of them. At the beginning, he started out running, so he would run with me and then miss 45 minutes and then jump back in at the end, which was really annoying because he'd have had a little break and then he'd be pushing the pace on a bit more. One time we got lost around a NATO base in Tirrenia in Italy in 1997, which was about when the NATO strikes were about to happen. We managed to get into the base and cut through, and then they arrested us in the middle. Obviously,
Did they know you?
No, they had no clue. And they said, "What are you doing? How did you get in here? We need ID." I said, "Our ID is back at the camp, which is kind of over that way, and that's where we were trying to get to." And they made us run back the long way. So it was meant to be a 10-mile run, and we were nearly back. They made us run back so they could follow us in trucks to trace where their weak point was, I guess, in the camps and how we'd gotten in. And then the worst one was before the London Marathon, where I set the world record in 2003. So my last long run along the Rio Grande in Albuquerque. And as I'm starting to pick it up and close the last couple of miles hard, I overtook a lady and her daughter, a small daughter, on the bikes. And the daughter was a little bit ahead, so she turned back to see where her mum was, and she turned the wheel, and she caught my back foot, and I hit the ground really hard, and I was all cut up. I had whiplash, and it was just a big panic. 3 weeks out.
It was before you set the world record.
3 weeks out.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
That's pretty memorable, I'd say.
I stay away from bikes now.
Yeah.
I give them a really wide berth.
Yeah, right. So John, you've been back home in Phoenix training.
Yeah. Yep.
Any memorable long runs?
My first 12-mile one, which, by the way, sounds ridiculous for me to say, 12 miles.
And if you've been following him on social media, it's so sweet. Like, he's so excited. I love it.
I don't know about excited.
It is.
But
It's like, welcome to the distance world.
yeah. So my first 12 miler, I remember because we had run 9 and 10, and then we jumped to 12, and I was like, oh, no problem, just doing that. There's something magic about 11-ish, where my whole body said something ain't right, and so I said, okay, just keep moving and just keep moving. We kind of run out in the country, and we end at this little parking area where they're doing construction, and I just remember I stopped, and as soon as I stopped, I said, I can't control my legs. And I thought I was going down because my whole body was wobbling, and then I started going, wait a minute, my stomach doesn't feel so good. And all I thought was, there's a porta potty 50 feet that way, but I can't get my legs to move me over to there. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. So I was just stand and breathe. And after about 10 minutes, I was okay. But I've never had the experience of losing complete control of my whole system. I just didn't know what to do. And Christine, my wife, she's about 10 minutes behind. So I was like, well, I got to at least stay on my feet till she gets here. But
you just got a look, by the way. His wife was like, I wasn't 10 minutes behind.
So my biggest experience at long distance, the most memorable right now so far, has been a complete collapse of my body. So hopefully...
Again, welcome to the distance world, right? Don't we all have that? Gail?
So mine, I'm a combination of both of you guys, I guess. 12 miles the day that it snowed here in Atlanta.
Like a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, and I was running, and I was like, oh, that's a big flake. Uh-oh. I don't think I'm going to make it because I was at 8 miles at that point. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it all the way back. This is going to be interesting. So I'm running and going down a hill and kind of hit, the ground was really slippery by that time. So I actually kind of slipped, didn't fall, but I hit something, jarred myself. So I'm going to take the positive because that next day I was in the spine center and I had minor whiplash. And so you said whiplash, and 3 weeks later, I don't have 3 weeks, but I'm going to take that as a positive that maybe there's some good that's going to come out of this. But just I think for me, this whole journey has just been about, like I said, 105 meters was distance. And now I'll tell my husband, oh, I'll be back. I got to go on a 5-mile road run. My kids are like, that doesn't even make sense. All my friends are like, Gail Devers distance. That doesn't go together, Gail. That's not like 2 + 2 = 4. It's just not right. And it's funny. My husband, people are like, oh, is your husband going to run? He was like, absolutely not. He'll get on the bike. And so he was following me on the bike for a while, and then I didn't see him anymore. So I'm like, I understand how you're feeling when it comes to that. But just the support that I think I've gotten from everyone, and you talked about Amy. Atlanta Track Club is awesome because they welcomed me, and I was like, this is so out of my comfort zone. I don't know what to do. And they really just welcomed me in, and just, you talk about on the road runs. When I first started, I told Coach Amy, I said, okay, so I'm good. I'll figure it out. I want my headphones on. I don't want to talk to anybody, and I don't want to hear myself breathe. She said, well, let me tell you something. No headphones. I need you to have conversational pace so you know what you're doing. And I want you to hear yourself breathing because that lets you, I'm like, you just messed up my whole 3 big no-nos. So I have been proud to say on my longest runs, no headphones, and I've been jibber-jabbering like I do now. I'm talking, and it's cool. It's really cool. So I'm excited about Sunday.
Can you imagine some of those conversations? I mean, hearing what Gail Devers has to say about competing around the world like she has, that's pretty cool. All of you guys, and anyone can jump in here, all of you guys juggle so much in life, Some of you are parents, you have businesses or you had businesses. You still are very healthy and fit. I think a lot of us want to know how you guys have been able to keep health and fitness at the top of your priority list or close to it throughout life. And you said you've come back now to working out, Gail, but it clearly, look how fit you are. It still is a huge part of your life. And you are such a role model to not only your girls, but to all of us.
Yeah, I've got, so when I retired in 2007, I would get pedometer steps. That was about it. I wasn't going to no gym. I wasn't working out. I volunteered every day at an elementary school, which I still do when I'm in town. But working out, and my kids, I always tell them, you guys be quiet. You're like throwing me under the bus because people are like, do you work out? They're like, she don't work out. She does nothing. I'm like, and to think I was happy when you learned to talk. It's been like it's a juggling. I tell people I'm doing this, but I'm a mom first, and I waited till I was 40 to have my kids for a reason. And so I'm like the other day, like I didn't start running until I was 15. So my daughter said she's starting at 14, so she did. Okay. She comes home talking about fill out this paper, mommy. I'm playing football. I was like, okay. So she played flag football as a 9th grader, and now they did a hard court press for her, and she's playing lacrosse and track at the same time. So I was concession stands the other night when it was 30 degrees. I'm outside. I'm like, you guys don't do concessions indoors where it's warm? I was like, so I'm outside doing concession stands for the lacrosse game. I'll leave here. I've got to go to a track meet. Then the big thrill for me is that tomorrow for the marathon, we're lighting the cauldron. And I told my girls I want them to come because it has not been lit since Mommy was here and won my gold medals. So for me, that's a big deal. It's a real big thrill for me. And so they'll do that, and then I have to get back to drop somebody. You know, you become an Uber driver as a parent. Oh, for sure. I need my little glasses, so I'm an Uber driver. I have stuff to do all tomorrow, and then I'll try to get here early for the race on Sunday. So I'm just excited. This has been a challenge. And it's been a great challenge. Now, had it not been for Rich Kana and Goldie over here, because I'm like, are you up for it? I'm like, I'm up for it. I just haven't got up for it. Haven't even started. But I remember the first day, and I was like, I'm going to go out and see. And what I think I learned is that there's a big difference between crawling, walking, jogging, running. And when I first started, that first day, I don't know if you guys, maybe it was because it was so long that I had not run. But my first day, I was like, I taste blood. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. I was like, I got booty lock for real. So it's been I've come a long way, let's just say it that way, and I'm excited about this. So
we're so excited for you. John, I know that you and your wife have a healthy competition. I've talked to you both now about the half marathon that you're running on Sunday, but also one in the future, and I see the healthy, I see you two. So talk about, how you guys fit that in as a family now, but also this transition into the long distance stuff. You still are working out hard, obviously. So let's hear how you have this life balance as well.
Well, for me, I think I'm pretty fortunate right now because I'm in a stage in life where I had founded a company called Altus out of Phoenix about 12 years ago, and a couple years ago, I passed the majority of the company on to the employees, and now I'm just a minority part of that, and I have enough time to get some stuff done. So, by the way, that company, we had 21 athletes in Rio, and we got 5 medals there. If we were a country, we would have been like number 5 in track and field. So
nice. All throwers.
No.
Oh.
This was sprinting, jumping, throwing. Nice. It was all sports and track and field. So we had about 120 athletes training with us that year. So then I got kind of tired, kind of stepped back away from that. And we're very lucky right now that we've got the time to do this. I'm exhausted listening to Gail. She just wore me out with her list of stuff she has to do. And I'm lucky that I got till about 10 o'clock every morning that I can take the time to do this right. But that being said, I think that being a leftover old Olympian, if I've got till 10, I'm going to use it all. So I don't cram it in, I stretch it out. So I'll get up and I'll do my foam rolling and foot rolling in the morning, then we'll do our stretch, then we'll go hit the run, post, you get your nutrition in, then you get in, you do your foam rolling, you do your stretch. I mean, this whole process that I just don't feel right not doing it that way. And I kind of sometimes wish I'd be more busy so I wouldn't have to just do all that stuff. But my brain won't let me not do it.
That's great. Paula, how about you? Because Paula's zipping around all over the world speaking, and you have some foot stuff going on, and a lot of you probably have read about your foot issues, but you still get it done, and you're still mommy, and you're still a wife, and it's pretty inspiring to see all that you do.
I was thinking the other day, I do a lot. I do a bunch of things. I get to commentate for the BBC, at the New York City Marathon, in Dubai at the marathon as well. And for me, that's great, because if you can't be out there taking part, the next best thing is to have the privilege of the best seat watching it and trying to convey that to the audience at home watching it there too. So that's really great. Spend time with my kids. to be helping Jordan as well and kind of fitting that in, to still be a Nike ambassador, to be ambassador for different events around the world. And one of the big things that I'm trying to do there is get kids and families, women, particularly girls in that 13 to 18 year range, just physically active, staying in sport and staying enjoying sport and seeing what they can get from that. So yeah, I was up in Portland before I came down here, Portland, Oregon, and I was running early in the morning, and then I thought, can I actually call what I do work? Because it's fun. It's busy, and you have to be organized with it. But it's great to be able to do something that you love doing, and to travel around the world and meet people, and just to see people like these guys crossing the finish line of the half marathon, kids finishing their first 5K, and the realization on their face that they've done it and that they've enjoyed it and loved every minute. It's a special place to be, that finish line.
Yeah, it is. You know, I'm sitting up here thinking, these three, just these three, have been to 12 different Olympic Games. They've been on 12 teams together. 20 different world gold championships have been won by these three. I mean, how amazing. And yeah, all I can think of is, what is it in you guys? Like, why do you think, obviously, maybe it's a God-given ability, but there's something more that goes with it. And I think that a lot of people would be interested to hear, like, why do you think you guys were so good or so driven or so focused in the sport that we're in? Whoever.
I don't know.
No,
I'm going to give you guys
question.
time to think now. It's a big question, because I think when you start out, certainly when I started out, I just loved running. I just enjoyed the competitive feeling, but the competitive feeling mostly against myself, of just trying to push myself a little bit quicker. And I think my biggest goal in my career was to see how good I could be and to see how fast I could run, and kind of push that envelope just to see exactly where it was. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, it kind of dawned on me that maybe I could be a professional athlete, and maybe I could see where that went. So it wasn't in the beginning about trying to win Olympics, set world records. It wasn't about that at all. It was just enjoying it and seeing what I could do. To begin with, it was probably local cross-country races and then team events. And I think what helped me was, the fact that naturally my body suited the marathon. My brain really suited the marathon. My brain loved the challenge of the marathon. And just the fact that it's not you against the road, it's you against everything that hurts, the distance, the competitors, just trying to stay strong and playing those mind games. It was a challenge, and I liked the challenge.
John.
So I got three things. And the first one's obvious, which is obviously when you get to that very top level, athletes at the tip of the spear just have physical characteristics other people just don't have, which it's not fair, but it's true. So, secondarily, I think that we all share some mental traits that are different than normal people as well. And truthfully, I would guess that our preferences of behavior and the way to go about things, I think psychotherapists would have a field day with it, because it's true obsessive compulsiveness, truly cannot get it out of your head, truly focused in a way that's detrimental to other things in life. But if you've got the physical traits, it might really be a good thing as far as sports goes. It worked out great for all of us. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know that for me it's an obsession that I really enjoyed having, but probably wouldn't work well in the real world. So, and third, and this is, Gail's going to love this one. When I got to the university at UCLA, we walk on that track, and there was probably 20 it's one of the most unique environments you've ever been to. There was 20 to 30 Olympians on that track every day, whether they were in our team at UCLA or postgraduates like Gail or Jackie Joyner-Kersee, or, I mean, pick your Olympians. Literally, it was the greatest training location and probably in the history of track and field. I grew up from 18 years old thinking if you don't go to the Olympics, you're really not very good. And if you don't get a medal, you may not be that good either. Because I don't even know how many medals were on that track in one day, but there were days we could have had, between all the athletes, 40 or 50 Olympic medals on the track, all at the same time, and you just think that's what you're supposed to be, and you just kind of do it. So your environment means so much, and being raised ignorantly in that, just thinking that that's what you're supposed to do, was critical to my success.
That's why we don't take him places. But he's right. I mean, training at UCLA, oh my gosh, when I came in, I was the baby of our group, but there was Florence, there was Jackie, there was Greg Foster, there was all these great athletes. And as a 17-year-old, I wanted to be a part of that. I've always felt that I was a goal setter, and I would write short, mid, and long-range goals of things that I wanted to obtain. And it's about, like what Paula said, for me it was a challenge. This distance running is a challenge. And so I remember even my first couple runs in distance being kicked out of the groups that I was in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that as a positive because that means I'm moving forward. And it was the same in track and field. For me, it was when they told me that, well, you're just a hurdler. I'm like, well, I don't like the word just, first of all. But as just a hurdler, if I were to read my press, I never would have shown up, because doing it my way and setting the goals that I set for myself, I went on to win 2 Olympic gold medals back-to-back in the 100 meters. So I'm a sprinter that happens to have to go over hurdles. And so that's been my philosophy. And I just think we're able to challenge and channel certain things, and I think everybody has within them what makes them a champion. Sometimes, regardless of what goes in your life, you have to reach down and find that inner strength to keep going on. So,
If you guys weren't in the sport of track and field, what would you guys have done? Am I stumping these people? I like it. Like, would you have been an actress? Would you have been a meteorologist? I wanted to be a meteorologist.
No, because we don't ever get it right. No.
I know.
No. You know what? I used to love the sport of figure skating, but I'm not graceful, so I'm like bam, bam, so probably not. They probably would have kicked me out of that. But I don't know. I said I would have been a teacher.
Okay.
I probably would have been football. I did that in high school. I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy the practice. Games were fun. I enjoyed track practice, so that's how I decided not to play football. I didn't want to deal with football practice. So.
God, I mean, when I was a kid, I did judo. I got kicked out of ballet straight away. Like, first day, they said to my mom, "Yeah, take her somewhere else. She's not going to do this one." So definitely not an actress or anything like that. I did judo, and then I gave that up because I just wanted to run, and I enjoyed running. So honestly, I mean, I did my degree in business, economics and languages, so I wanted to do international business and travel, and I kind of feel like I got to do that anyway, but not with the business bit. So I would have still been fitting running in something around whatever else I had to do, I guess.
Very cool. Well, I had a couple fan questions, and if we do have a question, we can bring a mic out. Just raise your hand high and we can bring the mic out. But I had a couple fan questions for you guys, so I'm going to quickly go down the line. Paula, you've run up to, you said even today, maybe 151 was your highest miles? 151 miles a week.
Yeah, but when I was running, we didn't have the Garmins and the Polas that logged it exactly. I only started adding up because journalists were asking me, how many miles do you run? I was like, I better work it out. So I just added it up, and I used to do 7 days and then an 8th day complete rest day. So my mileage was the 7 days.
Okay.
If I worked out the average, including the rest days, it dropped.
I see. Okay. Well, regardless, you ran a lot. And one of our fans asked if you had ever had an encounter with an animal. You said snakes in Albuquerque. You said you're, falling and,
I was
running into that little girl.
In Albuquerque. There was a mountain lion on one of the trails in Albuquerque, and I didn't even see it at first. My husband started screaming, and then I realized what it was, and it ran away. It was more scared of us than we were of it, I think. And the snake was on a bike path in Tallahassee, and I was doing K-reps before I came in here to Atlanta, and I think I was doing like 6 times a K. And it was only on the 6th one running back. My coach was standing at one end. I was going out, recovery, come back. So I'd been over it 5 times, and the guy said, "Mind the snake," and I was like, "I thought that was a stick." It was just sunbathing on the path, so that wasn't too bad.
You must have been pretty focused on your run, not be scared of the mountain lion, not really see the woman and the child, and then the snake was a
I saw the woman and child, I just didn't expect them to turn.
Yeah, right. Okay, John, someone wanted to ask, I think because you posted on Facebook or something, that this whole process really brought the competitiveness back out for you, and you were excited to feel that again. So talk about that process.
Yeah, I mean, when you're an athlete, you every year or every 6 months, if you're doing indoors or whatever, you've got this point in time that you have to get ready for. And when you're in real life, life just kind of rolls. There's no real now. And so in regular life, I've never really had that experience of those nerves, of that preparation of, here's your test. It just doesn't happen normally in real life. And I just realized during this process about a week ago, I was like, ooh, I'm nervous. I kind of like this, you know? And you don't think you like it at the time, but then when you get back to it, you realize that gets your juices flowing and you kind of feel more alive. I really enjoy the process of being scared. I think that's kind of crazy, but it's just something that I've missed for a long time, and I don't know how many running races I'm going to do, but I'm going to seek these kind of goals and endpoints and other things. So
You're hooked. Another question, have you ever thought about competing in a strongman, or did you?
I never did. I was the California State Powerlifting Champion in 2001. But I've never wanted to do strongman. Those guys are ridiculous. So
We had a guy that came. I have a camp for kids, and he came and bent some big thing, a metal thing. And he used to walk around the block with a car on his shoulders, and all the old people would come out and watch. I mean, that's pretty amazing what you guys can do. And he was a former thrower as well. Okay, Gail. Everyone remembers you kind of telling everyone about your Graves' disease and overcoming that. Is that gone now, or do you have that forever? How are you feeling? What's your health like?
You have it forever. I went through the radioactive iodine treatment, and I take medication every day for the rest of my life to live. And I always tell people it's a very small price to pay to have a quality of life that I have, because I went on from there to win my Olympic gold medals. So
We want to know about the nails. I still can see them.
Well, they're much shorter now. After I came back from my Graves' disease, I let them grow for 3 years because it took them 3 years to figure out what was going on with my Graves' disease. And so the longer they were, the longer it took me to paint them, let me know as a sign that I was okay. Now, anytime something significant in my life happens, I cut them. So I usually let them grow for a year at a time, because the kids love on the first day of school. They say, oh, Miss Devers, your nails are long. Then I'll cut them all the way off where they look like little nubbies. And at the end of the year, they'll grow again. So these are short now. This is short, sorry. This is short because my brother passed away, so I cut them. And now this one's shorter because I just cut these off in November because I started this new journey of distance running. So.
I love it. Well, you guys, we're getting ready for rapid fire. If anyone listens to CTolle run, rapid fire is coming up. And if anyone has a question, I want to make sure you raise your hand quick. We don't have time. Yeah, come on up. Can you say your name in the microphone and state your question? Oh, I think our mic needs to be on.
Hello.
There we are.
How are you?
Good.
Hi, Paula. I just wanted to ask Paula, actually, do you look back and look at all of the advances that we have now in distance running and go, I wish I had that when I was running and I could possibly have got this?
Yes, but with a bit of curiosity and with a bit of tongue in cheek. I support the innovation in the sport, and if I look back in history, the shoes that they were running marathons in the 60s were like flip-flops on the bottom. That's basically what they were, Havaianas on the bottom of your feet. And then in the 80s, what I saw Ingrid Christensen set the world record in versus what my shoes were in 2003, that was a huge progression. So for me, anything that's helping distance runners, and I think the new innovations do help with the cushioning and help protect runners' bodies, keep them healthier, help them run a little bit quicker. I think that's a good thing. It gives people targets to shoot at. But yes, I would love to see what I could have done.
Well, I know you're a bit OCD about everything in your running career, but what about things like, being a female and what we eat and how it affects training and racing?
Have there
Dialing
been
that in
advances
nowadays.
that? I kind of feel like, I think maybe it's talked about a little bit more. I think I was very, very fortunate. My mom without me even realizing the upbringing that I was given, the diet that I had is the diet that I give to my kids. And people say, do you follow a diet? And I'm like, no. And then when I look at it, I think, actually I do, because all of the key nutrients and the balance is in there. Just even the simple things like talking to my mom about anything that I was worried about starting my periods, about things like that. And now with my daughter, it's like, you just talk to me. I want you, anything you're not comfortable with, anything, you come and talk to me the first time. And then we'll work out from there how to move on with it. So I think it's that common sense which kind of needs to keep going. We need to just feel that we can talk to people about things, and you can ask those questions. And for me, diet, it's everything in balance, everything in moderation. Kind of look at not cutting anything out unless there's a medical reason you need to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, you guys, real quick before we do rapid fire, goals for tomorrow, including you, because you do have some big things going on. So let's start with you, Paula.
Goal to see Jordan run well, and as well as she's capable of doing, and enjoy it out there.
Nice.
I just would like to survive.
No time goal?
I had a time goal of 1:58:04 because my wife's done 1:58:05, but
Christina.
There's a lot of hills out there. So after I found out about the hills, I was like, okay, let's just finish this one.
But now, I talked to you yesterday, you said a lot of hills, so that means he's going to run another half marathon. So he's totally into this thing.
Maybe. I don't want to waste all this effort.
I've just announced it on CTolle Run. That means you have to. Gail?
I don't have a time in mind. It's my race, my pace. And so I just want to challenge myself, and I've learned that early on, and I'm going to stick with it.
All right. Well, I'm going to go down. Yes, I'm going to go down quick. This is how we really get to know people on CTolle Run. So I don't know. Paula, you've done this a few times. She's been on my show a few times. But you two haven't been. So, Gail, this is you first. This is quick. There's no thinking about these, and there's no, explaining, really. You just got to do this fast.
Right,
and we
so
know you can move
I
fast.
apologize for what might come out of my mouth.
Okay, you ready? 100 meters flat or 100-meter hurdles?
100 meters, I guess.
You like that? Okay. 11-mile long runs or all-out sprints?
11-mile road run.
Woo, she's here. Long hair or long nails?
Long nails.
Okay. Boys to men or New Kids on the Block?
Boys to men.
Yeah. Bungee jump or swim with the sharks?
Neither.
Oh. Okay. Half marathon or are you moving on up to the marathon?
Half marathon.
Okay.
10K, 5K. No.
105 meters.
105.
Going back to the sprints. Okay, John, your turn. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you nervous? Because this is probably harder than the half marathon.
I feel the
Did
pressure.
get my heart racing.
Talk about the pressure. This is
Okay.
exactly what I was talking about. I'm
Yeah.
seeking this pressure.
These are totally different questions. So, squats or curls?
Squats.
Okay. Visualize or pray?
Visualize.
Okay. AC/DC or run DMC?
Run DMC.
Ooh. Lift for 2 hours or run for 2 hours?
Is there a third option?
No. What's harder?
Now run.
Okay. Pizza or hot dogs?
Pizza.
Fear factor, for those of you young ones who don't know what that is, YouTube it. Or wipeout?
Fear factor.
Yeah? Okay. Bring on the miles or get me back in the ring?
Bring on the miles.
I love it. Okay.
I'm old.
Yeah, you're old. We're all old. Okay, Paula. Coaching or being coached? What's harder?
Coaching.
Yeah, it is hard. Okay. Ed Sheeran or Adele?
Ooh, that's tough.
Do you know them?
Yeah, well, personally, no.
Well, I thought maybe she knew them personally.
Adele might be running now, though. Ed Sheeran.
Okay. Donuts or cupcakes?
Donuts.
Tempos or 200s?
Tempos.
Yeah, I like those two. Pet a tiger or wrestle an alligator? Pet a tiger.
Pet a tiger.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. Okay.
It's only a cat.
Speaking from somebody that is a world champion, she's not afraid of anything. Okay, might race again, just thinking about it, or fine on the sidelines.
Might race again.
Breaking news. All right, you guys. Paula Radcliffe, John Gadina, and Gail Devers.
I know that I'm here to run, but I was a shot putter. I just want to tell you guys that the shot put is actually going to be happening at 4 o'clock. This is no joke. there may be a world record today. So if you guys can get back to watch that, Ryan Krauser may break the world record. He was only 3 inches away 2 weeks ago at the U.S. Championships. I'd love to see as many people as we can get in to go and promote that world record, and tell all your friends, text everybody, because it's going to be worth seeing it. And by the way, he's like 6'9", 700 pounds, so at least worth seeing him.
With his cowboy hat, too. Thank you, guys. Our saying at CTolle Run is to get after it, and get after it to all of you guys. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody.